So we're going to flip it over. We're going to dump all our fluid out. Fluid looks pretty clean. Welcome back. My name is Curtis. And today up on the bench we have a GM 700R4. This one was pulled from our 1990 Chevrolet Suburban project. We're going to go ahead and get started disassembling this. But we're going to start by pulling our transfer case adapter off of the transmission. Just 4 15mm head bolts. Now we're going to move on to our governor. Slide out our governor. Right here is our servo assembly. We're going to get in here and remove this snap ring. And there's our snap ring. Pop that guy out and pop that cover off. Slowly work our snap ring out. Then we'll get a pair of channel lock pliers. There's one servo piston. The whole servo assembly comes out. And that's everything on the outside of the case. We might as well get our little shift lever off. The nut was already removed on that. So we're going to flip it over. We're going to dump all our fluid out. Fluid looks pretty clean. Now let's pull our pan. We got our one pan bolt left in there, so the pan doesn't fly off when I tap it. Off it comes. Okay, get our filter out of here, pull and twist. Drain some fluid out of it. Now we have access to our valve body. Okay, someone's definitely been in here. Let's work on getting our harness out of the way here. So a few connectors. This is likely our governor feed tube here that I'm pulling off right now. Now we can get the rest of our harness out of the way. Give you a quick inside look at the valve body, minus the governor tube. Finished getting this wiring harness out. There's 3 tabs to hold it in, 3 plastic tabs in there. Just gotta gently pry those and then our harness will pull out. Or rather we can just unplug it. Apparently that plugs into that clip. So, more we know. Still gonna pull that plug out though. We'll finish getting our valve body off here. This is our kickdown assembly. Our kickdown cable would have latched onto this, and that's how that would have actuated. Pops right off. I left the parking pole on here, or the spring for our selector. Off all that comes. Okay, check ball. There's one so far. Shift accumulator comes off. Accumulator spring. Oh, get our separator plate off. And our gasket peels off. $13mm on our pump bolts. Okay, so we had to get our pry bar in here and pry our band away from our little pin here. And now our input drum comes right out. along with the band. That's where that sits. Just had to pry that away. Pull our sun gear out. Now we'll get going on that snap ring that's in there. We've got another snap ring that holds the planetary onto the output shaft. Kind of hard to see back there. There we go. And there it went. I have no clue where that flew to. She gone. But out comes our planetary set. Well, there's the planetary. Here's the ring gear and the carrier for it. Out comes our sun shell. We have a snap ring in there. We'll get that out with a little pry bar. Work our way around. And out it comes. Out comes our center support or brag housing. Oh, there's a brag clutch in here. There's our rear planetary. More frictions and steels. And here's our output shaft assembly. And that's where that snap ring was in before. That was really hard to get to. This is our silencer spring. Okay, we've got an empty case. Clean up all our parts and go over everything. Okay, so with everything cleaned up, I've got it all laid out on the table. Let's go over our parts. So of course, we have our case, our output shaft, our forward planetary set and carrier, our rear planetary. We have our shift servo, its cap and seal and retainer, our little shift lever, our governor and its cap. We have our low reverse clutch pack and our center support, along with the silencer spring, our shift accumulator, our input drum assembly, our pump, our transfer case adapter, our valve body and the pan and its hardware. We have our kickdown. Hello everyone, welcome back. Today up on the bench we have a passenger side drop NP241C. This came out of our 1990 Chevrolet Suburban, and we're going to crack it open today and not only see what's inside and what condition it's in, but we're going to see what's different between this and the driver's side drop 241C. So we're going to get started like normal. On the back we're going to pull off our tail housing and our rear bearing support. And there's 4 bolts holding that to the bearing support. Little tap, and of course our snap ring on the back of this bearing. So these transfer cases are a pretty rare bird. They only came in the year span of truck where there's an overlap between the square bodies and the GMT 400 platform. Our bearing support here that I'm undoing now is a 13 mil, and there's 4 bolts for that as well. Off comes our bearing housing. And then we have, well, for starters, that looks really nice and shiny, doesn't it? I don't know if that means someone's been in here or this is a pretty low kilometer transfer case, but let's get this tone ring off anyway. Yeah, I mean, that looks really nice. Let's get the second snap ring off for that. We'll come back in with our 15 mil and we'll get all these case bolts out. Just like so. And there comes our fluid, which looks very clean, very bright red. I mean, any nasties I'm seeing in that have fallen off from the actual dirty shell of the case. There we are. Off comes our rear half of the case and our oil pump. And then just like normal, we have our insides, and they look predominantly the same so far. A little bit of silicone fell in, but let's keep going. Let's get our front output yoke off. There's our yoke. main shaft and output shaft should all come out this way. Here we have our main shaft, our chain, and our front output shaft. Our case is getting pretty close to empty. Not a lot to these guys. Let's pull out our shift forks. And we'll get our shift ratchet detent out. That looks like it's going to be a 19, which is already on my impact. So that's our little spring. There's the cap, and then inside, you can see it falling out there. Is the actual detent itself. So we'll set that with the group. Now we'll get our 22 mil, pull out our 4-wheel drive light sensor, and then we'll come in with our dead blow. Oh, maybe not. We'll just pull out our shifter. Surprised that didn't need to be tapped. All right, so we can see here, this is the back side of our planetary. It's held in from the other side. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna set a rag down. I'm gonna flip this over and put that on top of the rag. This planetary is gonna fall down in. With a 10 mil, we're going to take our front seal bolts off. And we'll pry up in here. And off comes our seal. And here we can see our snap ring. So we'll see if we can open it up enough with these pliers. Doesn't look like we can. Oh! Speak of the devil, there we go. So that's why we put the rag under there. There's a 6-pinion planetary. Looks to be in pretty good shape. And our ring gear is obviously still inside the case there. I'm not going to bother pulling it out. You'll use a slide hammer for that. But with that being said, that is the inside and the full disassembly of a passenger side drop NP241. So we'll get everything cleaned up and we'll come back with everything laid out and we'll go over our parts. So let's go over our parts. First of all, we have our case halves, 1 and 2. We have our case hardware, our case magnet, our front planetary seal, or our input planetary seal, our input planetary itself, the shift mechanism, our main shaft, our front output yoke and front output shaft, drive chain, our rear bearing support, our speed sensor tone ring, the speed sensor is located in the bearing support, and our tail shaft. So, as far as differences are concerned, not a lot is different. The cases are obviously completely different. Our shift mechanism is backwards. Normally this pin comes out this side, so that's different. But otherwise, it's all pretty much the same. I thought there was going to be more differences, but so with that being said, there's a complete teardown on a 1990 NP241C passenger side drop. If you enjoy this type of content, definitely stick around and give us a like and a subscribe. We post pretty regularly. And if you're interested in any of the salvageable parts here, go ahead and check it out at our eBay. And thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed.